Hello, everyone, and thank you for being patient. Welcome to the webinar, and thank you for joining. We'll be going over managing NIST RMF on ServiceNow today. I'm Mike Martis, marketing lead at Stave, and joining me today is our lead technical consultant, Tom Creer. Tom, how are you?
I am doing fine this morning, Mike. How are you?
I'm great, glad to hear it. I'm excited for Tom to take us through Cybersecurity Manager's RMF management capabilities. But first, we'll take a look at the success of the ServiceNow platform, then a bit about how we build on top of it to extend the RMF capabilities. Then we'll review some tricky RMF terminology along the way. As I'm sure you're all aware, ServiceNow is one of the most powerful cloud platforms in the world. As you can see here, its growth has been tremendous, but what most people don't know is that ServiceNow actually started out as just a workflow automation platform. They started in IT because that's where their founder, Fred Luddy, had a background. But ServiceNow's overwhelming success can really be attributed to the platform's ability to solve the same types of challenges for multiple lines of business within a single organization. Specifically, its ability to consolidate multiple siloed systems onto one system of record, one single system of engagement, and its ability to automate outdated or manual, usually time-consuming and error-prone processes so that they're being executed consistently and efficiently, and its ability to give organizations complete visibility into all the work being performed within a designated area of the business. That consolidation and visibility is huge for cyber operators charged with maintaining compliance. At Stave, we're focused on boosting the native, apologies, a little technical difficulty there. At Stave, we're focused on extending and boosting the native automation functionality of the ServiceNow platform. Unlike traditional ServiceNow custom applications that need custom implementation, our certified developers built our apps for rapid deployment. As a result of that effort and our dedication to usability, configuration is also simple. Our apps are built to allow administrators to adjust configurations with just a few clicks instead of sinking hours of development time into a simple functionality need. And because our apps are certified and scoped by ServiceNow, managed updates and support comes with the apps. Here's how we visualize it. The ServiceNow platform, represented very cleverly here by a platform, has native RMF capabilities with GRC and SecOps that we've built onto to extend the functionality. So Cybersecurity Manager adds functionality on top of it for role-based dashboards and preset workflows to navigate the RMF process, and more than that. In our latest release of version 3.6, you'll notice an improved user experience for RMF package creation and document management, as well as customizable automated workflows. We've improved functionality around the newest RMF step 0, with the preparation step. It's easier to set up organizational and system level requirements and track their progress on the platform. We've also added pre-configured data sources for vulnerability responses, your STIGs, poa&ms, IAVMs, all right into the tool. All this allows for automated control testing, complete visibility into the compliance process, and accelerated timelines to achieve ATOs and compliance. Okay, we've gotten to the point of the webinar where there are lots of acronyms being thrown around. I mean, acronyms are great, they're useful, time-saving, that's why we have them. But we may be reaching a point of diminishing returns with this. I mean, we've got the IAVA, the IAVMs, the STIG, the ATO, the poa&m, even RMF itself is an acronym. And that's not even all of them, not even close. Here to help us make sense of some of these letters is our lead technical consultant, Tom Creer. Tom, take it away.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate that. One more important acronym before we get started is NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology. And they've developed a cybersecurity framework, which includes the risk management framework that we're going to be talking about today, or RMF. The RMF process is required by all federal, civilian, and DoD agencies to help manage the process of bringing new systems online in a secure manner, which results in an authorization to operate, or ATO, and maintain that security through continuous monitoring. Here's a list of just a few of the special publications published by NIST related to the risk management framework. And it provides a basis for many of the features included in Stave's Cybersecurity Manager product that we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to take it step by step through the process. There are 6 steps. The first one is actually in the RMF process is actually step 0, and it was added in version 2 of the framework. It turns out to be one of the most important steps with 17 separate tasks. We're going to take a look at the actual product here and talk a little bit about the nature of the product. So we have the dashboards here. You see a number of different dashboards, and we're going to be going through these in more detail as we go forward. And then on the left, we have a number of different menus related to the systems and the packages and other items that we'll be talking about as well. One of the first things we'll take a look at is the system status. So these are the systems that are defined within the product. These are the various systems that might be undergoing the RMF process itself. And if we take a look at one of the system docs, it has all of the fields you would expect that are related to undergoing the RMF process. So system information, details about security and other elements of that system, software levels, recovery times, all kinds of information related to that. In addition, any related packages, RMF packages are shown here, and any role assignments. So the users that are involved with this system, the authorizing officer, or any of the other users that are part of this system. The other part of the system is the packages. So these are the actual RMF packages that have been defined for any of the systems that we have here. And if we take a look at one of the packages, we can see that in the preparation stage there at the top, we're going to be showing a workflow, and we'll be going through a lot of the detail on this workflow, along with a lot of information around that package itself. 3 of the key pieces are the confidentiality, availability, and integrity, and we'll be talking about that, as well as the workflow version. The product supports version 1 and version 2 of the RMF framework, along with any other workflows that might be required by a specific organization. In addition, we have the ability to create a new package right from the system here. And you can see the fields that are required, confidentiality, integrity, and availability, as well as the system reference. So what system does this particular package relate to? The next step in the process is the categorize step. And after all the preparations are complete, we need to review the information collected and make a determination regarding the confidentiality, availability, and integrity requirements of the package. So if we take a look at our ISSM dashboard, Information System Security Manager, let me leave this. We can see all the different packages and what step they're in. So we have 2 packages in the categorize step. And if we take a look at one of these packages, we can see that in this case, the workflow shows us here at the categorized level. If we go into edit mode, and if you have rights to edit the actual package, you'll be able to make changes to any of the fields here. We can see that we have all the different fields defined, the workflow version, the confidentiality, integrity, and availability, all can be defined. Who's the authorizing official going to be, and the designated official in this case. And then we'll be going through other sections of this document as we move forward through the process. So once those 3 things are set, we're going to take a look at the tasks involved. And so we have a way to manage all of these different tasks. And you can see here we're at the C1 task, security categorization. And that's the step we're doing through categorizing. And then it'll go to step 2, step 3. So to complete a step, we can take a look at the task itself. It's been assigned to somebody. It's got a due date. All of the information here is needed around that. And it can be closed right from here, or we can go through and just check the box, put in a comment, whatever that comment is, and complete that task. And then you can see the next task is up. In addition, down below, we have all of the tasks defined. And we can see that we have gone through all of the P or prepare tasks, and they're all completed, 17 of them. And now we're at task C2, which is open at this point. So it allows us to automate that entire process through the use of tasks. And that's all done through workflows. And so we use the ServiceNow workflow engine, set that up so that we can see exactly what's going on at any stage. All of the items in blue have been completed. Those are the prepare tasks for the most part. And then we're at the categorization stage where we've completed step 1, step 2 to step 3. These are all defined, within the RMF framework. So next, Mike, do we have time for a quick polling question?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go ahead and launch a poll real quick. You were just talking about tasks, so we have a poll question here. But before I launch it, I just want to remind everyone our Q&A is open. So if you want to submit a question, just click on the Q&A button on your screen, and we will receive the questions. And we'll have some time at the end to go over some answers if we get some questions. So let's go ahead and launch the poll. Here we go. So the question, how does your organization determine assignments? Oh, I'm sorry, this is the wrong one.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yeah, how does your organization determine assignments for the various implementation and assessment tasks required by the risk management framework? So your options here: self-assigned by the responsible user, manually assigned by the ISO and ISSM, automatically assigned based on user role, or you don't know, which is okay. We'll give everyone a few more seconds to vote. We still have some rolling in, so let's give it a couple more. We should have put those that piano music back on while the polls are running. Been playing on that.
There you go.
All right, so I think we've got about all we're gonna get here. So poll results, let's look. Okay, so self-assigned by the end user. This looks like majority, manually assigned by the ISO or ISM, and close behind people who don't know, which, these are the things we're trying to address with these features and functionality.
Sounds great. Thanks, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
So the next step in the process is the select step. And once a system is categorized, the appropriate controls can be selected. Stave Cybersecurity Manager will automatically select a baseline set of controls based on those settings for confidentiality, availability, and integrity selected in the categorize step. So if we take a look back at our system and go to our dashboard, we can see we have one package in the select step. And if we take a look at that package, we can see the workflows moved along. Our tasks are now at the select tasks. And if we go down to see the controls, we can see that there is a number of different controls that have already been selected. In this case, all of the controls related to this package based on those categorizations, it comes out to 360 separate controls. And above here, you can see a couple of little graphs they can show here where we're looking at the implementation status of these. We have 334 that are planned. We have some that have been inherited controls from other systems or subsystems related to this package, as well as some that just don't apply. And that's all handled during that select phase. Controls by status, this is when we do the assessments. We'll be taking a look at that a little bit. And you can see the different package actions available here. One of them is to populate those RMF controls once that categorization step has been completed. So that's the ability to automate the set of controls that are there. The system does come with 912 or 922 separate controls built in, and these can be adjusted. You can add new controls if needed, if you have specific requirements around the control infrastructure as well. All right, so the next step is the implementation step. And implementing the controls is really where most of the work is managed as part of the process. If the system's been designed based on the NIST special publications regarding system engineering, SP 800-160, for example, and others, this step provides a framework to ensure that each of the features is implemented and documented correctly. And so as part of that implementation step, again, we can take a look at our items or the different packages that are in that implementation stage. And we can take a look at where we are. We're, again, moved along here. We have some tasks in the implementation where we're implementing all of the different controls. Part of that is also the documentation. So all of the RMF packages select a set of documents related to the version of the workflow and the package requirements. And all of those are set up here within the system. Each of these has a ability to have a template. That template can be downloaded, completed and filled out. And so in this case, it's a Word document. There's a couple of other options as well. And then once that is completed, it can be uploaded back into the system and given a document version number, some information about that, and then attached directly to the document here. You can also, if you're using a different document repository somewhere on your network, you can put a URL or a pointer to that document to be able to store them that way as well. And then the system does come with a number of different templates, but it gives you the ability to put all of your own templates in through our document templating system as well. So we can see all the different templates that have been built in. You can see they can also be, in addition to attachments, they can be knowledge base articles within ServiceNow. They can also be on a separate system. So they could be a URL out to a separate system to get that template and download that. One of the other things that's happening during the implementation stage is managing and completing the different controls. And we can see here we've got some that have been implemented already. We have some that are inherited that don't need to be implemented and some that are planned. If we go down to our control repository, we can see the various controls. If you go into any of these to complete it, it can be assigned to people. The status can be adjusted to be implemented, for example. Various fields can be included to track the information or track the completion of that particular control. And then that completes that particular control and moves on to the next one. I think this would be a good time to do another polling question. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, let's do it. I'd like to thank everyone for submitting some questions. I'm just going through those. We'll be able to try to answer some given some time at the end. So the next poll question is to do with document management, which we just took a look at how the platform deals with, or how the app deals with that. So let's go ahead and launch the poll. How does your organization manage the documents associated with the RMF process? Is it on local storage shared by email, on a shared storage location, in an access controlled document management system, or don't know? And I'll give everyone a few seconds here to chime in on that. Still rolling in. We appreciate all of the engagement. We love it. All right, we'll just end it there. And it looks like winner is with 50% of the votes in an access controlled document management system. So that is, essentially what we have built directly into this tool, which is good that everyone has that. I think that's a good transformation for the digital industry in general, that people are using an access controlled document management system, and that's why we know the value there, and that's why we have it in the tool.
All right, great. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
So the next step in the process, step 4, is the assessment step. And it's the ability to assess each of the controls, make sure it was designed and implemented correctly. If a problem is found with a control, a poa&m can be created. That's a plan of action and milestones, and it can be used to track the remediation, of the problem with that particular control. So if we take a look at our system again here, hang on one second here. We do have a special dashboard for managing assessments. And we can see we have a number of different packages in the assessment stage right now. In this particular case, we're at that assessment stage. Again, we're at the tasks there. We can see that so far we've accepted some of the items. Some of them are pending, some have been rejected, and those need to be, poa&ms need to be created. So one of the package actions we have is to create that poa&m directly from the package here. And if we go down to the bottom, again, we see a list of the different poa&ms that have been created. And we can take a look at any individual poa&m. Now, poa&ms can be created as part of the assessment, but they also can be created during the monitoring stage, the final stage, where a vulnerability might be found and the standard remediation or patch isn't enough to complete it. We can generate a poa&m at that point, assign that to somebody, and have that poa&m item identified and again assigned, and put completion dates on it, track that completion of that poa&m. So it gives you a nice capability around the assessment process to complete all of that. Next step is the authorization step. So after all the controls have been successfully assessed, poa&ms have been completed, the system is ready for authorization. Stave's Cybersecurity Manager product provides a number of options for documenting the system authorization to operate, or ATO. The approval workflows within ServiceNow can be used to manage the internal approvals needed, or external approvals, depending on the way the workflows work in each case. If we take a look again at our dashboard, we have a special dashboard for the authorizing officer. We can see any packages that are in that implementation stage, any that are in assessment stage, whatever's been submitted for review, or any packages that are actually in review at this point. If we take a look at that particular package, we can see that we have the workflows moved to the authorization step. And as part of that workflow, out of the box, it does include an approval step. So we can have the individual, the AO or the designated AO be required to approve that online. But in addition, there are a number of different fields that can be filled in to manage that approval. So if we go down to the final authorization, we have the initial review, the security system manager's review, the assessor's review, and then finally the AO final decision with giving it an authority to operate or deny the authority to operate, depending on what's needed there. Lots of other fields, including approval dates and expiration dates for that approval. And one thing we can do is also track how long it's been in that approval cycle to make sure that we're following up and everything's getting completed properly. So some nice capabilities around that whole approval piece as well. The next step we have is the monitoring step, and step 6 is a bit different than the rest of the steps in the RMF process. Once ATO is completed, the system undergoes continuous monitoring for any possible vulnerabilities. Stave's Cybersecurity Manager takes advantage of ServiceNow's vulnerability response module within the SecOps application to display any vulnerabilities detected for the hardware and the software systems and CIs that have been identified with this package or with the systems in those the authorized systems. In addition, Stave's solution can import IAVM information, and create poa&ms from them. So let's take a look at our monitoring dashboard. On the monitoring dashboard, we can see all of the vulnerable items that have been detected. I haven't been clearing these out as much as I should. There's quite a few there. Any pending IAVMs or overdue IAVMs, any active poa&ms that are in work at this point. And then we can look at any particular vulnerability and check it out by status or our state or manufacturer, for example. The vulnerable items, again, we are just bringing up information that is part of the vulnerability response system within ServiceNow. So all of the capability within that product is just exposed within the dashboards here to make it easy to manage those vulnerable items. In addition, if we take a look at our IAVMs, we have the ability to import those from another system that might be generating those vulnerabilities. We can view any of the pending vulnerabilities here. take a look at what's been imported, and we can see not only the detail around that, what's happened with that, what's the mitigation strategy, any patches that have been identified that are needed for this particular item, any vulnerability entry, so these are the systems that are affected by it, and then any poa&ms that have been generated as part of this as well. So full IAVM support built right into the product for those organizations that are using that capability. In addition, within the IAVM, we can generate a poa&m directly with a create poa&m button at the bottom to make it easy to generate those as well. So one of the things we've highlighted throughout is really the visibility. And as you've seen, we have a number of different dashboards. We have the packages, we have the systems, makes it easy for everybody to see the information they need, to complete their tasks. So, whether you're doing that initial preparation stage or working all the way through to monitoring, you have the information in front of you that you need. Some of the additional features that are part of the product, we have that ability again to manage the IAVMs. We also have a STIG viewer, so it gives you ability to access the security technical implementation guides, easily create checklists or import checklists and manage all of that. We also have a way to view the host-based security system items that can be imported from those systems that support that capability. And then we also expose the US CERT bulletins from the National Vulnerability Database to make it easy to see the new vulnerabilities that have come in. And as we showed a little bit earlier, the RMF document template manager, so managing all of the different types of documents that are part of the system. So if we take a look at any of these systems, we have the host-based security. You can view any of those that have been imported. See all the different hardware that's associated with it, and all the information that has come in from that HBSS import. The STIG Explorer gives us the ability to create checklists just by checking off different items, and you can see the STIG rules here that have been defined. And then for each of those, all of the detail around that STIG rule, including the fix that to mitigate any of those problems that have come in. So the idea is to provide everything in one place where you can easily see all of that information. In addition, we do integrate with the CRG profiles, so our GRC profiles, that is, from ServiceNow. So the ability to create those from a package and then have that profile and the surveys associated with those GRC profiles exposed within the user interface as well. So again, bringing information from lots of different sources, having that ability to easily manage and get to any of that information from within one dashboard is really the key to automating the RMF process. So I think that's all we had for today. Mike, do we have any questions or any follow-up?
Actually, yeah, we did. There are some really technical questions that this may not be the best format to try to answer them. We will answer all the questions, but we may need to take some to an email or a follow-up after the presentation here. So yeah, we've got a couple we can go through. So as a user, do we have the ability to modify the RMF workflow?
Yes. So each of the organizations that is using the product may have their own needs to either remove some steps or add additional steps and tasks into that workflow, and they can generate a new workflow based on one of the current ones and then make adjustments to that. And you could have multiple. You may have 5 or 6 different workflows depending on the types of systems that you're going through certification on.
Right. And you mentioned, Tom, those 922 controls. Where do those come from? Those come from
those
NIST?
are, yeah, they do come from NIST. They're part of the standard set of controls for RMF. I don't know the exact citation of what document they came from, but yep, they're imported from a list from NIST.
Okay. Let's see, we have a question about inherited controls. Do we have an example in our demo instance here of implementing or handling inherited controls?
I do have, let me go back to my packages here. There is the ability to have a parent package and then a child package, for example. And in that case, the controls can be inherited from the parent package. And I know there's also the ability, so in this case, this is a child package to this parent, the ability to inherit controls from a subsystem as well. So you can have that whole parent-child relationship through your packages and then be able to inherit controls that are already completed for that sub package.
Great. And we have a question here about reference architecture for Stave. Is there a full reference architecture for Stave?
Well, for Stave is the company name. So we have a number of different products in the Cybersecurity Manager world. We've developed an architecture for the user interface and for the workflows and tasks that we actually do use across our product line. But in terms of the reference architecture for RMF, framework, we base that on, the NIST standards. I may not understand that question completely, so we might be able to get back to you and find out
all
more
these
detail
questions
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, Tom. All these questions, by the way, if you submit one, whether we answer it on here or not, we will definitely follow up via email to try to answer your questions specifically. So we might need to have a follow up conversation based on what you're asking there. So let's see. Can reports be generated or adopted to an external template?
Yeah, so what we do is take advantage of ServiceNow's inherent capabilities, and one of those is the reporting piece within ServiceNow. So that can do a couple of things. One, you can use it just to export all the information and use some third-party reporting tool, but there's quite a good reporting capability in ServiceNow, including, regular table reports, pivot tables, graphs, charts, all of those kinds of things. And some of the dashboard elements you see are actually generated through that reporting structure. So,
gotcha. I got a little follow up about the NIST, the NIST controls. Are they? Do we encapsulate all of them, and are they categorized?
They are categorized. The number of different categories that they're put into, and there can be views set up to show those categorizations. I know there's been updates to those controls over time. So this is a standard off-the-shelf product. We're at version 3.6 right now. And each time we do a new version and update that in the store, we have, I think, updated controls as well as they're updated. And so then there are ways to view those controls based on categorization as well.
Great. Let's see. Can a hierarchy be established so that Cybersecurity Manager is the top level system of truth or system of record for the RMF process?
Yeah, so, again, it can work both ways where, our product could be the top level and could be the system of record for that. Or it can be we import information from another system, and a lot of organizations do have systems that they've designated as their system of record. But being able to bring that information in, maybe in read-only fashion, to be able to display it on one dashboard is one of the key features of the product. But it can be done the other way around just as easily.
Great. Let's see. So somebody asked if this is available in the App Store through ServiceNow. It is.
Right, and part of that is when we put an application in the App Store, ServiceNow goes through a number of certification steps on that. So they make sure that, we've scoped it properly so it doesn't interfere with any other applications, that when we do updates, that it's compatible with new versions of ServiceNow, and that, that make sure that we abide by all the development rules around business rules and workflows and all of the different elements within the system. So it's a fairly rigorous process to be certified and put in the store. And again, that happens with every new release as well.
Great. And this one is a little bit, it might be a little technical. We might have to follow up with it, but what is the practical means to deal with 300 plus controls? with 922 controls, what is the method of providing evidence and retaining the proof and summarizing data for auditors?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And there are a number of different techniques or processes that our customers have used to do that. We can set up dashboards where you only see the controls that have been assigned to you as part of a package, so that the assignment of the implementation of the controls can be managed and spread out against multiple people, and then a dashboard where you just see the controls in the order that you need to implement them, as well as assessing the controls. So yeah, it looks like a lot, 322, but if they're categorized and then assigned to the right people, and that work is broken up, it can be managed fairly easily. And that's how some of our customers are doing that today. Again, the dashboards are very configurable. We just showed you some of the out-of-the-box dashboards, but they can be set up by user, by group, so that you're only seeing the information that your particular group needs to see, or your individual user.
Great. This one's a little bit, I guess, I don't know if there's a direct answer to this. It might be a little forward-looking, and we may not have a direct answer yet, but understanding that ServiceNow will be adding functionality around SSP and poa&ms in the future, how will Cybersecurity Manager work with those enhancements to the platform? And generally, what we like to think is when the platform gets stronger or adds features, so does our, that just makes our tool stronger and adds features there, because we built it to work with the platform and take advantage of all of the functionality that they add going forward, and we like to take advantage of that stuff. I'm not sure, Tom, do you have anything to add there?
No, that's a really good question. And we do work with ServiceNow's product teams to understand their direction, what their focus is, and make sure that our products do work. You can see the vulnerability response piece. Instead of building our own, which we actually had a version earlier in the earlier versions of Cybersecurity Manager, once that product came out from ServiceNow, we embraced it, bring it into the product if it's been installed on the platform, and make that a really key part of the monitoring process, for example. So that's one area where we've already done that. If poa&ms are available in GRC or SecOps, again, that would be something we would embrace, be able to bring that into the product, instead of trying to compete with it, because it makes sense to have, all of that in one place. And then whatever areas we can work in on the workflows, on the tasking, the separation of assignments and things like that, that's the area we would focus on.
Great. I think we've covered about all that we can answer live. We will definitely, even if we answered your question, by the way, we'll still add it to your follow-up email. Make sure that you have a recorded version of the answer. We'll also, once we're done here, send out, as part of that follow-up, we'll send you a cloud recording of this webinar, so you can rewatch it and listen to Tom's silky voice all over again if you want. But for now, I'll say thank you all for joining, and we hope to see you next time, and look forward to the conversations started by the follow-ups and the Q&A. So thank you for joining, and Tom, thank you for hosting with me.
Thank you, Mike, and thank everybody for attending. We really appreciate it. Take care.
Take care.